And okay, we're live already. How about that? I didn't even hit the 30-second timer. It's all right because we're like 10 minutes late. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Interview with Dracula. I am your host, Actual Dracula, and I'm honored to have as my guest today a phenomenal artist, absolutely one of my favorite artists working in comics today. If you're a comic collector, I'm sure you've doubtless seen this guy's work. He's done covers for Marvel, DC, Darkhorse, among many others. Ladies and gentlemen, rousing round of applause for Mr. Ryan Brown. Yes. Ryan, thank you for coming on.
No problem at all. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am not actually Dracula.
And you're not?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Even though I love Dracula, Dracula's brilliant. Absolutely love it. Like I love all the kind of, the old school kind of horror stuff, Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Mummy and all that sort of stuff, like all the vintage stuff.
Nice.
That's my thing,
I was gonna end the show with, or I was gonna ask you questions about your artwork for about 10 minutes, and then I would want the rest of the, say, next hour or two to just be Dracula questions. But we can get right to the Dracula
medieval
questions.
Or old school horror stuff, like that sort of.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Screaming sort of. I love all that stuff, it's like, I grew up with all that, and it's definitely like, even whenever I do like a Spider-Man cover or something like that, I try and add a bit of horror into it, and it's sometimes I come up for a wee bit of a breather of fresh air and sort of do something that's nice and fluffy kind of thing, like I did like a Gwen Stacy, cover and stuff, and it's sometimes you do it because you need your head a wee bit, a bit of a rest or whatever, and you're drawing gore and dead bodies constantly and stuff, and it gives you a wee break, and then you go, right, I'm ready to get back into it again,
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to take maybe a little break from that every once in a while.
Oh yeah,
so people don't think you're completely mad, right?
Oh, well, look, it's just it's like a wee palate cleanser,
Yeah.
You have like a wee Gwen Stacy somewhere in there, and then you go back into the death and murder, and like eyeballs hanging out and blood and gore and intestines flying, attached to ceiling fans and stuff. You know what I mean? It's
like a Cannibal Corpse cover.
Yes. Even though, like in my stuff, I don't really do a lot of gore. It's not gore. It's just creepy stuff.
That's it. Yeah.
Because I think I was like, well, you think about this, right? What's the scariest thing? It's like the scariest thing is when you're going around the corner and you don't know whether there's like a ghost there or some sort of monster or something. It's not the scary, when you see it, it's the anticipation of seeing it. So it's like whenever I draw things, it's like the expression on like a zombie or whatever is kind of confusion. It's like it's stern, but is it going to bite you? Is it going to do? What is it going to do? It's like, when people talk about seeing ghosts, they see a ghost and it's just standing there, or it's just walking, and the people are like terrified out of their wits, sort of thing. That's scarier than the ghost going. Bleh.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Just standing there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Actually, one of the because there's very few like horror movies that I find genuinely scary. Like as a kid, the first movie that scared me would have been like The Exorcist, right? Something like that. But one of the few scary movies I can think of in recent times would have been the first Paranormal Activity movie, which is there's a scene where the woman just gets up in the middle of the night and she's just standing there beside the bed, and that creeps me the hell out. And she's literally doing nothing. She's just standing, but it's like the idea behind it.
Isn't it? It's like, the Blair Witch Project,
of course.
Like there's nothing really going on there. It's some noises in the woods, and then it's people standing with their backs to you, facing the wall and stuff like that. That's really creepy, So I think all that sort of stuff is far creepier. And the other thing about it is it gets the kind of the viewer to participate in the piece of art. So it makes them look at it and go, you know, what's going on there? What's going to happen next? What's this? What's around the corner? What's blah, blah, blah. If you give them it all, I kind of see it. There's nothing wrong with giving them it all and showing them the monster and all the rest. But sometimes it's a wee bit like porn or something. You know, it's just like, there it is, blah, 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 on to the next whatever, you know, image or something. You know, it's where it's like you want somebody to try and read into the image, you know. It's like also like Lovecraft and, you know, all that sort of stuff. They're not describing everything, you know. It takes you to kind of fill in the gaps, really, you know. So art has to do that. Art has to do that.
Yeah, you know, absolutely.
People go, it's like, oh, all right, I want to see the origin of Dracula or something, or I want to see the origin of you don't want to see it. When you see it, you'll be disappointed. You know, it's like, I want to see what the magic trick, how the magic trick's done. You see that, and then you're disappointed.
Yeah,
you know,
actually, you brought up Lovecraft. One of my favorite, absolute creepiest bits of horror anywhere of anything. It was Lovecraft wrote this short story. It was called like The Painter or The Artist or something. It was just a short story, and it was basically it was about it's someone describing this painting of like I mean, and Lovecraft does this kind of thing often, where he's like, it's someone describing the most horrific, terrifying thing they've ever seen, but he does it in a way without actually describing what that thing is. I think he has maybe a few like hints here and there. But then the end of the story is basically this guy describing this painting that just completely shook him to his core. And that he goes to the guy's studio and he finds these photographs, and it's the photographs of he took photographs for that painting, so what the guy was painting was a real thing. And that was like, and that was it. It was just like, and that was the whole story. It was like, in the end, you find out, oh, that thing was real because you found photographs. And it's just such there is nothing in there that's like showing you something. It's just the way Lovecraft wrote, you feel that person's terror. He was capable of doing that like very.
And it's like the Reanimator, you know, like there was the story, the original Lovecraft story of the Reanimator. It's brilliant. It's supposed to be a comedy, you know, but it's really creepy. It's really, really well. Whenever I listen to it, like I listen to the audiobooks and stuff, you know, and it is really creepy. And there's another one. Excuse me. What was the one where it was like a monster or something? Or no, there was a person, they're trying to dig out of a hole, and then they come up with a thing, and then they go and they find like the house, and they look in the house, and everybody's dancing, and then they see a mirror there. You know, I don't want to say what it is.
I don't remember the name of that,
but it is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. You know, there's just so many Lovecraft stories that are just, I think, you know, not that I read an awful lot of horror these days, like, but a lot of films don't really do, you know, compare to those stories. Like the original Dracula and stuff, you know, the story of Dracula and the original Frankenstein, you know, is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, you know, and it's like films just are missing. They're just missing it, you know, which is
true. I mean, my favorite Dracula film is Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Because it is also one of the most accurate to the original story, Bram Stoker's original story. He obviously took some liberties. He added, there is more of the love story aspect to it. But if you break it down, you know, it's very similar to the original. It's absolutely still one of my favorites.
You should watch a film called The Woman in Black. It's like if you watch the old BBC version of The Woman in Black, it's really, really creepy. You know, it is well worth watching. Like graveyards and ghosts and all that sort of stuff, you know, and like old school horror. You know, it's like sort of has a feel of Hammer horror, but creepy Hammer horror. You know, it's just brilliant.
I gotta check that out. I love the Hammer horror stuff too, but you know, there's definitely a certain I mean, they're kind of cheesy in their own way, you know.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. I mean, it used to be all on like on a Friday night or something in the UK here, you know, and it was like they would have all the old Hammer horror stuff on, and then they would have all the old like vintage kind of, you know, Z list sort of movie sort of things of like American horror and stuff. And I absolutely love all that stuff. You know, the more terrible the better. You know, the more rubbery the monsters and unbelievable, the better it is. You know. Yeah. It's great.
Absolutely. Like in what is it? One of the Christopher Lee films. Well, like the Christopher Lee Hammer stuff. Like, that stuff. I love the sets because it's just like so. You go into Dracula's castle. It's so bare bones. There's just like candelabra with just some cobwebs on it, and it's that's how you know it's Dracula's castle, because there's cobwebs everywhere. It's incredible.
And Peter Cushing as well. Peter Cushing. Oh, he's the best. Absolutely the best.
Yeah.
I love all those films.
Yeah, they're amazing.
He was utterly sick of it at the end, you know, of playing Dracula. He was just utterly sick of it.
I can imagine, as an actor, you might want to kind of step outside that, you know.
Yeah. I don't. It doesn't really have a lot of, you know, room for maneuvering, does it? Really, you know.
Yeah.
You just sort of pop in like this here, sort of thing, and grab somebody or something. You know, show your teeth every once in a while.
It's like I understand when like you have actors who have, like say with the Marvel films, right? You have guys like Robert Downey Jr. or Hugh Jackman who play these characters for years and years. And people are understandably upset when they're like, "We're, you know, I'm done with this character." You know.
Of course.
I've said what I had to say. You know. But you got to understand when they do those movies, like they've taken a long time, right? And you,
of course,
even if you love it, it's like you're not going to want that to be your whole life, probably. You know? As great as Hugh Jackman was as Wolverine, it's like he can't be Wolverine forever. So.
I know. People want it, don't they? But then you've got some people that are like, they just don't want him to be Wolverine. Like, I mean, Wolverine's supposed to be short, isn't he?
That's true. He's
short,
very tall
guy,
for a Wolverine.
Like, so you know, I don't know. I think somebody. Here's the thing. Right, you saw like the Joker film, right? And you thought, you know, I personally thought that Joker film was just amazing, absolutely amazing. And I didn't think that they were going to do, or anybody could have been a better Joker than
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. You know, so I didn't think anybody could have been, but that was just mind-blowingly incredible.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, holy shit.
I actually started watching it again earlier today. I don't know how many times I've seen it now, but the more I watch that, it's just the more I'm completely blown away by that performance.
It is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what I mean there. You could kind of you can watch that first Joker-y thing, right? The Dark Knight, whatever. And then you would say, "Oh, I don't want anybody else to be the Joker," or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but then you see that, and it's like, "Wah!" So there's some people out there that can, you know, just blow the top of your head off, you know, and with a performance, and you go, "That is definitely Wolverine," or "That is definitely blah blah blah." You know, and I think there's people out there could do like fantastic Wolverines, you know. Like they're really, you know, I like this kind of where they're going now. They're not afraid to use like superhero outfits, like, you know, and look at everybody loves it whenever you see the original outfit in a film or a series or something. You know, look at Loki, and you see that like original Loki outfit and stuff.
Or WandaVision with the Halloween costume. That's the original.
You know, everybody wants to see that. You know, they want to see it, and it's like the companies are afraid because they think if we do that, there's going to be too much backlash. Everybody's going to go, "This is shit. This is terrible looking." You know, look at the state of that guy with his tights all bunched up and stuff, and you know, it just looks terrible.
Yeah.
But you just I want to see the stuff. I want to see Captain America wearing those, like, you know, from like the 80s, you know, and stuff. Those outfits and stuff, like the tight. I just want to see all that.
Yeah,
shit,
same here. Like, and just once, after all the X-Men movies, after all the years of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, we never once got a proper Wolverine costume. Even just the mask. I want to see the Wolverine mask. We have
Did you not see the mask? No,
never.
Did you not see the mask that we're supposed to use in the film?
Oh, I saw like photos, yes. But they never actually ended up using it in any of the movies. So hopefully someday.
I think they could put it in. It could look absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And they should do it, because look at the way they were going with that kind of, you know, the First Class, the X-Men stuff. They were really trying to bring those, you know, the outfits and everything. We were trying to really make it kind of more, you know, the stuff, you know, it's going back to the comic book sort of thing, and you know, make the stuff look like the outfits, really.
But generally they've kept it very generic, like the leather suits. It's pretty much stayed away from any of the comic book costumes, you know. Who actually, I what was it? The other night I just did a video. I was talking about how I thought the costume that one of the costumes I think that they absolutely nailed, one of the most kind of comic accurate costumes ever, was Deadpool's. Deadpool, they got it perfect. Yeah. Like, I want to see that. Like, that looks like, if that guy was real, that's what he'd be wearing.
Oh yeah, totally.
And but it also looks just like the comic book.
Yeah. Just put a Deadpool cover out there like yesterday, I think. It's the first time I've ever drawn Deadpool. So
I saw that. Yeah, that's
I sort of go through, you know, characters, and then I kind of want to do like one of this character, one of that character, and so I'm trying to go through like a big list of like characters I want to draw, you know. So
that's a good segue into probably my first question, which is is there a favorite character or characters that you like to work on, that you like to paint, and what character that you haven't done would you like to the most?
I love all the like the dark stuff again, like Doctor Doom, you know.
Yes.
Because when you're painting stuff or drawing stuff, or you know, physically or digitally or whatever, you're trying to represent different fabrics and materials and textures, you know. So it's like reflective stuff or helmets and all, and then you've got like cloth for hoods and things. So that kind of gives you a bit of interest, along with the poses and lighting and all that. But I sometimes pick subject or characters because of what they're wearing or whatever. But like Doctor Doom is like really creepy and stuff, you know, and like, you know, real menacing and stuff. You know, I want to draw the Hobgoblin at some point, you know.
Oh yeah.
I haven't got a chance to do the Hobgoblin yet. I would.
Have you done the Green Goblin?
No. I haven't done the Green Goblin either. I want to draw the Punisher as well, because I've just finished watching like the whole series again, or the 2 series again, just literally yesterday, because I kind of try to watch stuff while I'm working, you know, so it kind of slightly takes your mind away from what you're doing, you know. You kind of need a certain level of focus on stuff, and if you have too much of a focus, it messes you up, you know. So I kind of find a wee bit of distraction, but not something that's really overly distracting. It has to be the right level. If you've watched the thing before, then that's good, you know. But if it's too exciting and interesting, then you're stuffed because you don't get any work done. So that was actually one of my next questions, actually, which I guess you just kind of answered, because like I'm always curious about how other artists work, because like if you go back, say like 200 years, there's a very good chance an artist would just be painting or drawing in complete silence, right? Just them and whatever it is they're creating. Yeah.
And now usually that's not the case, because like most people, while they're creating, will be like listening to music or a podcast, or maybe have TV in the background. Like when I'm drawing, you could often find Star Trek: The Next Generation on in the background because like I've seen it so many times, and it's just like sort of a comfort thing.
Yes.
So like for you, do you ever just like paint by candlelight or with nothing but your thoughts to keep you company? Or like what do you like listen to music or
Yeah, I don't like to work with no noise at all. I don't like to work with total silence, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of have to have a TV on, or I have to have like music playing, or it really depends on your mood at the time. Or did I say mood? On your mood at the time. You know, sometimes I need to watch documentaries. You know, I put like documentary after documentary on like a subject or whatever, like medieval stuff or whatever, and you know, or like knights or crusade things, or like archaeology, or you know, it's usually history and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm with you there. Absolutely, same
But
way.
I love all that. It kind of it's something you've got somebody chatting away, blah 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 blah, and it's sort of because there's sometimes, see, if I was focusing too much on art, I would sit and second guess absolutely every single thing I do. So the trick, I think the reason why I do it is to kind of allow me to just do some stuff and not overly second guess everything, or it cripples you. It totally cripples you. You know, you end up totally like, I don't know, you just can't do anything. You go, oh, I've drawn that, that's terrible. Oh, I've drawn that, that's terrible, sort of thing, you know. And the other thing that I find is, see, when you're thinking of ideas, you have to draw it where you're not worried about anatomy, you're not worried about whatever proportions of stuff. You have to literally just draw it like big blobs and messes and stuff. So that just the idea is there. That's all, you know. The basic layout of everything. You're not getting hung up on, oh, the eyes here, oh, the eye, oh, let me rub that, oh, the eye, because then the idea, you know, is lost. You know, you're focusing on the technical aspect of it rather than the idea of what that cover or that image is supposed to be. It has to be all ideas at the beginning and not crippled by technique, you know, or trying to get technique correctly, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, so absolutely.
That's next, you know what I mean? That's the next part, you know, in my idea of how I work with stuff, you know. It's like you kind of, you know, I would get a page and just go, you know, scribble, and an arm goes here and whatever goes here, and it's like foreshortened that way, so therefore you're getting all the depth, you know. You're trying to create like when you watch, like you're in a theater and you see how they've set the stage up, where you've got things, you know, how do you know the things, there's depth. If you look at, you know, me and my hand here, you know, how do you know my hand is in front of my head or behind my head? Do you know what I mean? It has to be like that. Do you know what I mean? To show, it has to be overlapping.
That's oh man, that's an excellent just doing that, right? An excellent sort of
it's things, these are not complicated theories, right? You just need to kind of say, right, there's a couple of theories here that I need to add to my image, almost like a checklist, right? So you say, is the lighting dramatic?
Right.
You know, is the pose dynamic? You know, if a person's standing upright, you have to create a bit of, as the classic, like contrapposto, you know, where you know, if you want to make it more natural looking, then you try and, you know, the hips are going one direction, so the shoulders are going, it's hard to do it.
Contrapposto, man. I know what you mean.
So the weight is slightly more on one leg than the other. So therefore your hips and your spine will adjust to put the weight onto that leg more than the other leg.
That is absolutely key. I mean, if you look at say any sort of Renaissance paintings, romantics, like the that is the one thing that it's something you can't, if you don't know it, you can't really put your finger on it. But you essentially just described it. It's what looks most relaxed and natural is that sort of offsetting of the way kind of the body that naturally as if you're trying to draw a character, I've found you're almost opposed to kind of doing things that way. You have to kind of teach yourself to draw that way.
Totally. Because here's the thing, right? When you're going to draw something, you kind of go, right, the arms are this length, you know, so to you know, like where your wrists are in comparison to the groin and blah 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 and all the rest, all the length of your hands, the length of the body, the length of your legs in comparison to your torso and blah blah blah. So when you do all that, you think, you know, you start drawing it more straight then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But here's another thing. Whenever you're not drawing everything straight, you still need to give an illusion of size of things, that the size of things are correct in a sense.
Yeah.
When you like on women, when you're drawing them, you know, you kind of, I mean, it's a bit like when you see like photographs where they're trying to make women look very glamorous sort of thing. They'll point their toes, you know, because that makes their legs longer in a sense.
Right.
It makes them look longer.
Right.
So there's little tricks and stuff. And
Rob Liefeld was a master of that.
Yeah.
Super long legs and pointed toes. But yeah, no, that's an excellent point.
Yeah. You know, and here's another thing.
Well, one great example you gave also, and actually it's a little different, but you're in terms of like how to make something look more natural, like just that example you gave of not having the hand here, but actually showing that it's somewhere in relation to, you know, the body as well. Yeah.
You know, whenever you see Kirby stuff, right? He kind of, you know, as far as I was told, he would draw like a fist, you know, he would draw a fist. And then he would put the rest on it because he's drawn like the most important thing first. Yeah. So it's like look at the depth that's created. So he would draw the fist and then he would just draw everything afterwards, because this is the thing that's kind of, you know, the important, like a foot or a fist or something. And then all this foreshortening, because here's another thing is, you know, you're drawing something and it's on a two-dimensional surface, right? Whether you're drawing it on the computer or whether you're drawing it on a page or whatever, it's two-dimensional and you're trying to break that two-dimensional surface. So you're trying to give depth to something that doesn't have depth. So by doing that, you have to render an object with a bit of form, you know, so you have to give it light and dark, you know, and roundedness in certain spots or whatever. You also need to then show depth. So you need to, you know, where there is no depth on a two-dimensional piece of paper, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to show depth. So how you do it is layering of objects, you know, or you do it by, because that's layering as well. There's a fist layered on top of a head, layered on top of a background, layered on top of another background behind there. Or you do it with lighting. You know? So
I was going to get to that, because that can also easily backfire. I mean, with someone like Kirby, obviously, who was, you know, he was a pro. He had a lot of practice, so he could draw the fist first and then draw everything else connecting to it. But I know from experience, you know, if you're just kind of starting out, or you know, that can easily backfire in that you end up with a really big fist and then just some kind of really tiny body that's like disembodiedly connected to it somehow, right? That sort of foreshortening does absolutely take a lot of practice. But like you said, one thing that can absolutely help with that is through the use of just say light and dark and building up form that way. And one thing which I think you like, when I look at your covers, you like I have one here, for example. Your use of light and dark is absolutely masterful, right?
Okay.
You especially have, because you have those really bright highlights, you know, and the darks, but you've got everything in between that. Really.
There's another trick about light that you can do, that whenever you've got light and dark, you know, coming into, see, if you look at my hand, you know, whenever you see like the way light and then there's shadow there.
Yeah.
If you play with warms and cools,
Yeah.
So if this is all warm and this is cool. But another trick you can do is, this is cool, but only the edge is warm, and this is all pale. Yeah. So this can be sort of grays, but that edge, that transition line from the warm and cool, if you're setting a warm on there, do you see on the top of the fingers there? There's like, you could see the blood. This is like, I think it's called something like subsurface scattering or something, where the light is coming through and you can see the red there. But what's happening is, you know, that warm is sitting right beside the cool. Yeah. And you have those, you know, the way when you see like red beside green, it like jars your eyes. Yeah. Well, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to put the complementary color beside each other, right beside each other. So that when you get that edge, put a bit of warm down that edge. You know, if you look at Bill Sienkiewicz, you know, you look at his stuff, it's all about that kind of bleached out light with that warm line around the, you know, around the thing. And that's that orange, warm orange line. And it's so kind of, your eye picks it up because it's like the piece of gold in the room, you know, or it's like a speck of light coming through your curtains, you know, in the morning. It's that little dot. And it's also like the little dot that they put in the eye when you're painting an eye. And you kind of, that's like this, call it the spark of life, you know. It's like, it's because there's no other dots anywhere else. It's because everything else is sort of smoothish, and then suddenly there's a dot, and that dot doesn't exist anywhere else. Yeah. And it's surrounded by darkness there, you know, and that's why it stands out. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely one of those elements like contrappasto, right? Like that most people, you can't really put your finger on it why that looks so realistic, but it's those little things that make it so, right?
There's a lot of, this is the thing again, right? A lot of people can look at art and they can say that doesn't look right. But they can't say, you know, a lot of time they can't say why it doesn't look right. It's just in their mind, they could say that face looks wrong, or that body looks wrong. What is it? I don't know, you know, or, you know what I mean? So people can have opinions on art and they can say, well, I don't think this looks right, or I don't think whatever, you know, because they're looking at faces all the time, you know, they're looking at anatomy all the time, you know, but it's a different thing to be able to tell what's wrong with it. So again, there can be there's a lot of artists out there that are like really good artists, but they don't know why they're good, or they don't know why they're doing things that are working, because sometimes they've stumbled upon it. What's important, if you can teach what it is, why things are done, it reinforces it in your mind. Yeah. It makes you better at it. It makes you understand that, to be able to bring it to even a higher level. Because you can then turn the dial up on the lighting, or turn the dial up on that color kind of theory that you're using on the piece of art or whatever, you know. And it's understanding the principles behind it. And I think, see, if you can get like two principles, and you could, I've winged it, right? There's things that I'm not good at, you know, a lot of things in art that I'm not good at. And I have to go with what I'm good at, because again, this is a career that I have to produce things, you know, one after the next, after the next, after the next. So you need to understand your strengths and
Yeah.
understand your weaknesses as well. And if you need to, work on your weaknesses, you know, but you don't need to know, you know, everything. You can just, you know, try and get better at like one or two things, you know, look at other people, study other people. It is good. It's one of those things people say, study other people's artwork. You know,
Yeah.
see, if you try and create somebody else's artwork, you will learn an awful lot, because you'll start to see why they put things in certain places, why they use certain colors. And the reason you do that is because even your favorite piece of art, you will sit and look at it and go, oh, that's really good, right? And about 15 seconds later, you'll set it down. You know, see, if you go to recreate a piece of art, you'll be staring at for maybe hours or days. You know, so that intense focus on another piece of art of somebody else's will highlight some things. And the more that you would copy of that particular artist, the more you would understand what's in their head, the way they create their pieces of art. It will speak to you, you know, it really will. Like, you know?
I actually, I agree with you. Another thing I would agree with, and why artists have been doing it since the dawn of time, is something as basic as like a still life, right? Because like when I did a lot of life drawing, you know, when I was in school and stuff, but that sort of basic idea of just looking at something and breaking it down into smaller and smaller pieces, and essentially trying to recreate that, you know, on a page or canvas or whatever. That's going to give you, when you kind of look back and, you know, take it all in, you can kind of I know from myself, it's just like, you know, what happened there, right? If you're just working at one little kind of spot at a time, and then if you do that with other people's artwork, you can kind of see, you can begin to break down, like, oh, I see exactly, you know, it's the opposite of that, right? Instead of taking things into small chunks and making into something larger, take that large piece and break it back down into those small pieces. Yeah, that's.
If you think of a marathon, running a marathon, right? You what happens is you get a certain point and you go, God, this is exhausting. I am destroyed. Can't do any more, right? If you're drawing things that you're not interested in, you know, like imagine you draw an apple and you keep drawing apples. You could be drawn, you know, I don't know, you could be drawing Wonder Woman's outfit or something, you know, or like Doctor Doom's helmet or something like that. And you could draw all that, and you could learn from that. You can learn from, like, I use like all those type of things, all wee posable figures and stuff.
Yeah.
You can draw from all that stuff, and you will still learn, but it will keep your motivation, right? You have to be drawing what you want to draw, what you feel excited about, you know. And the other thing is, you have to remember, somebody said to me before, you're going to produce that much, you know, shit art, you know, it's going to be pages of rubbish, you know, before you know, you start producing anything that you think, oh, that's okay, you know, because you have to expect that you're going to produce rubbish. You have to expect it. But one of the things that you have to do is keep a journal of your progress. Okay. So what you do is you date everything. Put a date on every piece of art that you create, and do not throw it in the bin. Keep it all. Yeah. And then a year later, go back and look at the stuff you produced then, and hopefully you see progress. You know, because if you don't, you'll not see progress, because in your head you'll think it was so slow, the progress was so slow, you'll think you never got anywhere. You'll think, I haven't got any better, I'm exactly the same as I was then, until you look at the older stuff and say, flip, that's a big jump there, you know. So that's important because you have to see progress, you know. And the way it's like you watching like a tree growing, you're not, you know, you just don't see the progress. So you could sit there and watch it, and it just nothing's happening. But you
wash
know,
pot never boils, man.
Yeah, it's all about motivation. It's about motivation, because you will become demotivated very fast. You know, and if you're drawn out, you could get buy all the equipment, buy everything. That does nothing for you. Nothing for you, right? It's just you sit there. Oh, what pencil do you use? What pen do you use? Doesn't matter what you use. Just get going. You know, get going. Get drawing stuff. You will definitely find situations where like certain things are really nice to draw with, you know, and I'm trying to find stuff, but I've only got paint brushes there. But you know, you'll find that, like, I find these, like, they're crayons, but they're like big long square crayon things, and you can use the side of them, and it like makes a big smudge, and then you can use the
like
things
charcoal or Conte.
It's like that, but
Conte,
it's like but it's a crayon sort of thing, you know, and it gives you, because a lot of the time when you're using a pencil or something, it's either you shade, you know, and you don't get an awful lot unless you're like changing the angle of the pencil, you know, the lead or whatever. You're not getting an awful lot of thickness change of, you know, of the lines and stuff. And it is, I think that's what the interesting thing is, you know, the variation of line thickness and stuff. You know, that's why people use paintbrushes, the ink thing.
Yeah. Oh, looks like we lost Ryan there. All right, hopefully he comes back on here soon. I don't know what happened. Maybe his anyways, while we're waiting for Ryan to come back, let's say hi to the chat. What is up, Brandon Comics Kings? Dudes, anyone watching this, go check out Comics Kings. He is absolutely killing it with the interviews he just had on oh gosh. I forget. Someone really awesome. Anyways, Ryan is back. I'll get back to that later. Go check out Comics Kings. It was hold on, I gotta see now. Look it up. Look up Comics Kings on YouTube. Anyhow, Ryan is back. I was just shouting at the chat while you were gone, because, you know, if you'd been gone an hour, I'd have to just, you know, figure out what the rest of the show is gonna be.
You could have just started reading the comics, couldn't you?
Oh, I guess I could have. Yeah. But sorry, you were in the middle of saying something, but I did have something that was had very much to do with that. I don't know unless you wanted to finish.
Go for it. Go
because you were talking about the ultimately it doesn't matter what tools you're using, but at the same time, where there is, I think, a difference. There is and isn't because sometimes you will do your pieces traditionally, I guess in acrylics usually, correct? And sometimes you will paint them digitally. So how do you decide kind of what route, what medium you're going to go with on a particular piece? Is it a time constraint or just
definitely the digital is faster. There is also more ability to alter the artwork faster. So say you're doing a piece of art for like a film or a concept work or something, right? You know that the editor or whoever is going to say, can we change this? Can we put a different helmet on? Can we do this? Blah, blah, blah. So a lot of the time it's better. Well, in my opinion, I don't know, but in my opinion, I like working digitally for all that sort of stuff, you know? Or if I'm working for an editor that I think, oh, this is going to be, you know, hard work, you know, so it's going to be, you know, changing stuff at the end a lot, then I'll do it digitally as well. But if I think it's kind of straightforward, you know, I'll just go wallop, you know, the traditional stuff. But again, a lot of the time I'll do roughs. So I'll understand like where the lighting is, where the kind of, you know, the composition and stuff. And I'll also get a lot of reference, you know, for helmets, for light sources, for blah, blah, blah. And, you know, stick it all on a page, you know, on Photoshop, and then I'll look at it. You know, I can put it on the art table, you know, on a graphics tablet, and just sit and look at the reference or whatever. And see, there's this thing again about reference, and it's like, you know, people say, oh, you don't use reference or whatever, but that's not true. The difference is, you know, recreating an exact photograph of something. I don't like doing that, you know, because I feel there's no kind of creativity at all in that, in a sense. But you know, you're going to take reference for like how the light hits certain things, you know, hands, how it hits certain angles of your face or whatever.
Yes.
There's certain bits that you need to look really like believable. Other bits you can wing because you know where people are going to focus their attention on, you know. And the thing is, the more you do certain things over and over and over again and see the light from, then you can just create that, you know, out of your head. Yeah, it's all about having visual libraries in your head, you know, stuff. And you can only, you know, I don't know. I think you can only keep a certain amount of stuff in your head. Well, it's about memorizing the stuff. It's hard.
Yeah,
to do.
That's an excellent point. I mean, someone I immediately thought of. Obviously, one of my all-time favorite artists, one of many, would be Alex Ross. But he's been very open from the beginning about using references. He creates his own photo references.
Oh yeah.
And you know, the result of those is phenomenal. But I do feel at times it feels very much like you're looking at someone who's cut and paste photos together, because he's essentially done that. For a lot of, you know, you look at his covers or even some of his panels, it is, you can tell that like he is essentially copying a reference, because there can sometimes feel like it doesn't feel like all part of the same thing. If you know what I mean? It's mind you, he does I mean he's definitely does his due diligence in terms of like, you know, all the lightings come from the same direction.
Oh God, I think his stuff is fantastic.
It's absolutely phenomenal,
incredible. Incredible work.
But there's always been a quality to his work. I've found that is like there is something about it that feels like I don't want to say less creative, because I think he's incredibly creative, but like you can see like this obviously came from, like, he was working from a photograph. There's something that it's just that his ability to look at a photo and draw it is just mind blowing. Like, I'm not trying to say anything like take him down a peg or anything, because he's incredible, but there is something very different from what he does than say what someone like Sam Keith or Simon Bisley does, where it's just that's very, you know, very Simon different Bisley's styles, of course.
Stuff is fantastic, you know.
And you, that's someone you've of course worked with in the past, correct?
Yeah, I've worked with him a lot. He's sort of a friend of mine, you know, and he is a fantastic artist. You know, he sort of helped me along, you know, with art and stuff. You know, I would ask him questions about different things, and would have chats, and you know, he kind of understands things, which is really good. You know, he understands why things are done in certain ways, you know, so that you know, you can create the most power and drama in an image, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, you know, I really only started this, I think my first covers were about 6 years ago. So it's, you know, I know that probably sounds like a long time, but that was, I didn't really draw before that. You know, my first cover was one of my first drawings that I had done since I was a kid, you know. So so it was like I was trying to learn fast, you know. It was like trauma. I need to get this, you know, so that this doesn't look terrible. Because one of the horrible things about it is, whenever you draw something or do a cover and it's not up to scratch, you think this doesn't look right. it's going to be printed 1,000 times, thousands of times, and you're like, oh my god, now. And it's like the worst thing.
You can't go back and fix that.
You can't fix it. Yeah, it's all over the internet. It's like people bring it to to get signed at conventions and stuff, and people go, oh, but I love it. I love this cover, and I go, oh my, well, I don't. I used to say, oh, I hate this. It's absolutely terrible, and then everybody's like, oh.
Well, everyone's their own worst critic, right? And that's never going to change. Always, everyone's going to be their own worst critic, and because you're going to kind of pick things apart and notice things that other people may not, or for them maybe it looks good. It's just that goes for every artist since the dawn of time. I think
if you're not your biggest critic, there is a problem, because I have seen some artists that are quite happy with what they're doing, and they shouldn't be, and because that is the thing. That's another thing that's like, you're disappointed with what you do, you're always trying to make it better. The idea that you've got in your head never really gets onto the page or whatever. It doesn't come out the way you think it's going to come out. And very often that the rough that you create has more life and more kind of like potential than the finished thing ever ends up.
Right.
Because as you work it ends up stiffer and kind of loses its kind of it. I remember what I was trying to say to you about, like, the kind of leaving to the imagination, so the open to interpretation. So if a sketch is really loose, it's open more to interpretation, of what's going on. That's why I think people admire the skill of photorealism, but they want to see interpretation.
Yeah.
They want to
see,
how you interpret, how you draw a hand that doesn't look like a photograph, but how it looks like a drawing of a hand.
Well, this is ultimately what I was trying to say about Alex Ross, and why he's been so incredibly successful, is he can do just that.
Yeah.
It's not that, like, oh, this guy looks like he's copying a photograph. It's like, well, I guess I was trying to say sometimes it can look like there can be disparate elements because he is in a way cutting, pasting things together, but over the years he's really managed to make that look like it's all part of the same world. It's just incredible.
I don't know.
There's no one like him.
I don't know how he works so fast. He produces so many covers.
So fast.
He's got like 30 people in a cover, and that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Yeah. Well, one of the things is if you are a well-recognized artist and you're demanding more money for your art, you can then spend longer producing the art.
Yeah.
So
I was actually that. So one of the things I wanted to ask you.
But
I've actually got a bunch of questions.
Oh, go for it. Work away.
Well, you've answered some of them, I think, in the process. But like, let's say, for example, I just wanted to pull something up here quickly, because everyone, every artist, I think, gets asked something like this at some point. But let's use this for example. So in terms of process, I'm going to pull up this. This is one of your latest pieces you just posted of for Reptilian, Garth Ennis book.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so a piece like this, start to finish, typically, what would this take you in terms of time?
I don't know. 4 days.
Oh wow.
Ish.
That's. I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, oh, that I could probably pump that in 4 months. Yeah. I mean,
if I was drawing that in like 4 months' time, I would actually be ripping my eyeballs out.
Yeah, well, it might not work, but I'm so, and you did this digitally?
Oh, that one? No, that's
No,
physical.
that was
Yeah.
okay. So this brings me to my kind of my next thing, which was, so I'm kind of in the process of teaching myself to paint digitally because
Mhm.
I've always loved painting. I've never done like, I'd say in my I did a bit of freelance illustration here and there.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I didn't really but for me, like you said, I had to like for me, I've always wanted to in terms of creating artwork, if it wasn't something I didn't enjoy,
Yeah.
I really, it was a chore, an
Oh
absolute
yeah.
chore for
Yeah. Of
me, right?
course.
And so I kind of like the whole idea of making my living from that was I was kind of turned right off of that through different sort of mediums as well. Like
Yeah.
once I kind of realized the harsh reality of like, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a comic book artist. I wanted
Mhm.
to be Todd
Mhm.
McFarlane or Jim Lee. But at a certain point, I realized, oh, it's not just drawing Spider-Man. It's like you got to be able to draw buildings and cars, and you got to be able to
Yeah.
draw them in perfect perspective, and you got to
Mhm.
be able to do it over and over again and do it
Mhm.
very quickly.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized that's not what I want to do. I don't want to
Mhm.
do that at all. I
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah.
draw Spider-Man,
Yep.
and that was
Yep.
it. And so, um, anyways, getting back to the painting thing, I've always also really enjoyed painting, but I don't have like, it's hard to do without a permanent kind of setup for it. So I've been really excited about the, I guess, possibilities of digital painting.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and I guess, what advice would you give to someone who maybe before they just have like a palette and like a few brushes to now faced with kind of the enormous possibilities that comes with working digitally, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, there's advantages and disadvantages to both of them.
mhm,
Digital, you could work on a painting digitally forever. You can layer paint on top of paint on top of
mhm,
paint on top of paint, and like you can put black all over your page, digitally, and then put like red on top of it and put whatever on. It's very hard to do that, like physically, because
mhm.
certain paints, if you covered your board or whatever with black and then you try to put red on it, it's not going to come up with red. It's going to just give a tint to the thing, because some paints are slightly transparent. So
Yeah.
it's understanding all that stuff that takes a bit of time. So sometimes you kind of work from light into dark, so that you can put those like warmer or like yellows and stuff on
Mhm.
before you start, like putting the dark colors on. Then therefore you can't put the lights on again
Yep.
unless you put white down and then put the light color on top of that. It's like,
Yep.
so you've got like the how all that paint works with each other, and like, how watery do you want the paint? Do you want it really thick? Do you want it watery? Do you want, if you water paint down with water, if you water acrylic down, then it starts losing its binding agent, which is the acrylic.
Yeah.
So you put it on, and then you could try and put a wash over that, and it'll strip some of the paint off because it's not bonded with the layer below it. So
Mhm.
there's all this complicated stuff that you kind of need to know to use acrylic, but digitally you
Yeah,
don't need to know.
I've never
Yeah.
felt like I've ever been successful with acrylics. I always,
Mm.
once I discovered oil paints, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's a very different.
Okay. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have there's definitely I guess a bit more freedom in a sense with oil paints, and that
Yeah.
it feels a bit more like digital in terms of like you can kind of keep going back over it and over it and
Mm-hmm.
over it
Mm-hmm.
again and again.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep. The digital, the problem you've got sometimes is you never know when to stop it.
yeah.
So you couldn't just keep adjusting, keep adjusting, keep adjusting, keep changing, keep changing, keep changing. And, you know, you maybe get closer to what you originally, or not you originally, you're thinking in your mind, but you're sometimes your idea changes. The other thing is sometimes if you're working traditionally, it sort of, you put some paint down and it forces you in a direction. So it forces you in a direction that you weren't originally thinking.
Right.
And sometimes those little happy accidents become something, you know, good. And that's where you learn then, you know, where digitally sometimes the fact that you could just cut something out and change the color of it, you know, it doesn't mean you don't live with your mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, with you know, Photoshop and all that, you know, the advantage is you can alter things so much, which is brilliant. So another one is this, that it's what you've got on there. You can, when everything's transferred to print, it prints differently anyway because of the color gamma thing, you know, of the printers.
Yeah.
So so sometimes it turns out slightly tinted yellow, slightly tinted blue, slightly tinted red, or it's sometimes is darker than you originally, or the contrast of it gets really dark, and then you lose a lot of these details that you had in your original.
It can get muddy. Yeah, it can get muddy in the printing, right? Yeah.
So that's why sometimes the style of art is dictated by the print process, you know, whether it's effective or not. You know, if you've got somebody like Simon Bisley, whose artwork is extremely explosive and dramatic with very contrasting colors, then if it loses a wee bit of that in the print process, it still doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, where if you have a painting that is very similar colors all through and not overly light and dark, not a lot of contrast in there and light and dark, then when it goes to print, sometimes it just goes, you know, and it's gone, you know, and you can see sometimes, you know, covers and things from the past, you know, that just didn't work that way, you know, that the printed it and it just, you know. The other way is sometimes when you photograph or like scan a piece of artwork, it reflects and things, and you know, you get all these anomalies, and then you have to go into Photoshop and take those out. So then you're altering that to create the image to look similar to your image that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work in digital, you know, to change that. So, you know, it's I mean, there's complicated behind the scenes stuff that goes on that nobody ever kind of really thinks about, you know. And
well, this is what amazes me, because you were saying it was only, I guess, about 6 years ago you did kind of your first cover, right?
Yeah.
And usually, usually, like when I see a piece that's been painted digitally, there's usually like certain tells or aspects, I suppose, to digital painting that, especially like for people like myself just starting out, it's difficult to mask that. Like by that I mean like it lacks a certain quality that traditional painting has, and I think it really speaks to your skill as an artist, especially as a digital artist, that sometimes I'll look at a piece of yours and I'm not sure whether you've done it digitally or traditionally, because like I think a big part of that is your particular style, and I would imagine techniques that you use, that your style has translated so well into the digital medium. Like, you know, sometimes I'll have to look at it a while to see like, oh, he actually did that digitally, because it looks so much like the stuff you've done in acrylic. I guess, well, so how difficult was it to make that transition? Because like, was it, you know, was it fairly like you already had the fundamentals of painting down, and so it was kind of already easy, you developed your own style, or was it like starting from scratch, or were you kind of developing both of these at the same time?
No, I was doing digital first because I was coloring Simon Bisley's artwork for his pages and stuff, you know. So I colored a lot of his pages for the Tar Chronicles for New Legendary Entertainments and stuff.
So I got it kind of backwards. You were kind of doing digital before the traditional stuff. Okay,
Yep.
That's interesting.
So I was coloring all that, and I was slightly painting over, because he wasn't really inking the pages, so he was penciling them. So I would then color over the pencil stuff, and some was going over the lines, and some was under the lines. So it's like, after a while, we got like a process together where we're kind of working, and it was so that we could do these things fast. We were doing 22 pages in 2 days, So
Oh wow.
So
which comic was this?
The Tar Chronicles.
Tar Chronicles. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we did about 2,500 pages or something.
Wow.
For different. I think it was around that sort of number. It was a lot of pages.
Yeah.
Can't remember exactly, but it was a lot of pages. So many issues. It's crazy. But so that was the start point, and then I was like, I was coloring other people's covers, Glenn Fabry, Greg Staples, and like I did some stuff with Liam Sharp and some other people. Was doing all that, and it was for I was working with IDW at the time, and they said, "Would you like to do some covers for a vampire comic, V Wars, I think it was?" And that was my very first covers and stuff that I did. So I did like 13 covers for that, the V Wars, and but whenever you look back at stuff, you think, "Oh God," But I look at stuff that I did like last week, or whatever. Go, "Oh God," It's sort of just the way it is. I'm never happy with anything. It's very rare. If because I kind of look at it and I say, yes, I had trouble with this arm, or I had trouble with this anatomy, or the lighting, or I could have did it this way, or could have did it that way, and you're always trying to look at to see how you could have made it better.
Right.
But some things it's your limit, you're kind of, you don't know how to make it better. And then maybe a year or 2 years later, it kind of, you maybe get a bit better so that you can sort of do that sort of same image a bit better, It's complicated. It's like, I've heard people, you hear these people sort of say there's no rules to art, or, all this sort of stuff, it's like the people that splash paint on walls, or paint on, on a canvas, and, lick the canvas and kind of stick it in the wall, and it sells for 3 million or something, and I understand the idea that they're creating a story behind stuff, there's a meaning behind things, but it's kind of lost that important skill of how to create like a representational art, how much skill there is to create like a painting of like the face or hands or the anatomy, all those muscles, how that skin moves, how the skin sits when you're older, expressions, like little tiny changes can make your expression completely different. It's like, how do you make something look alive? All those things, like, that's mastering a medium, that's mastering pencils or acrylic or whatever you want to draw or paint with, it doesn't matter. And, it belittles that. It belittles that.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's like people say, we have now got cameras, so therefore we do not need to, paint or draw the face or whatever. It's not. That is not what it's about.
It's not.
It's the skill.
The skill. Yeah, absolutely.
Could you fly somebody up to the top of Mount Everest and just drop them off? Or is it the skill of getting to Mount Everest? Look at the amount of stuff we produce, with machines where people want the handmade things. You know, they want it handmade. Look at skills; they're disappearing. They're disappearing all over the place. And you know, not too long in the near future, skills will be gone.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
they'll be gone because we rely on computers and rely on machines and rely on stuff for all this. And as computers are getting better and better, you know, we are writing ourselves out of that thing that's seriously important, because a skill is something that takes you so long to learn, that people admire and look at and go, look how long it took that person, you know, to achieve that level of ability. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But with art, I think one of the absolute almost the most key skill, and again, it depends on what you're doing. But if you're, say, for representational art, I mean, the ability to see, to really see, that's absolutely key, you know, to see what you're looking at and kind of break that down. And then sometimes you get a freak, an absolute freak, who's developed a skill, but also has some sort of innate talent and ability to see. A freak like Rembrandt, who in all the history of all the world, there are a few artists like that man, where you could almost see how the muscle fibers underneath the skin, like you could tell that, like he could see that and was somehow showing you that without actually showing you that. I mean,
isn't that, that's an interesting thing that people don't really think about. Okay, they are, because we are all sucked in by the illusion of art. We are sucked in by, you know, this, you know, this is a person, right? Okay, but it's not a person. It's just lines and strokes. You know, that's all it is. It isn't a person.
No.
You know, that's why sometimes when you're drawing things, or you're drawing a face, you kind of go, and you can't, it's hard for somebody to break a face down like into shapes. Do you know what I mean? And draw it as shapes rather than a face.
Yeah, I mean, most people learn that way, right? You draw, you know, a triangle for the nose, two almonds for the eyes, maybe, you know.
If you're gonna, a good thing to do as a trick, as a bit of a thing, you know, if you've got a photograph, a bit of reference or whatever, turn it upside down, right? And then draw it upside down. Because what you're doing is you're taking away, this is a face. You're literally drawing just shapes. And that's a way to kind of, you know, then you can see that it's the illusion. It's the illusion that's then confusing you, that you just can't get away from that person's face, you know. Oh, this is a face, so it's an eye, so you do that. It's a nose, ... and like a mouth, you know, and you know what I mean.
I had one teacher that taught me that, I'll never forget this. It was a painting class, and the kind of the way they were teaching was based on this book, which I read, Hawthorne on Painting, which anyone, I think, who is interested in any sort of realism whatsoever, even if that's not your end goal, I think it was really a really kind of great philosophy behind creating art anyhow. Was I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but how he would work was, say he's painting a tree. He's not concerned with the tree at all. He's looking at this one area with the tree. You're looking at what are the value relationships? What is this one little speck of light here? How does that compare to the leaf? How does that leaf compare to the leaf behind it? And this is like something I see, like in this, for example, here, value is so important, and what makes this piece work so well is the relationships between the values there. And
because like you've got an image on a cover, it has to sell the comic, or, you know, not sell the comic, but it has to help sell the comic. You know, it has to have an interesting image, so you have to use all your like tricks or techniques or whatever to kind of, if it's somebody standing there, you need to make that person stand there look interesting.
Yeah.
You know, so you either do it by adding lots of detail, or you add dramatic lighting, or dramatic lighting and lots of detail, or you give angles to stuff, you know. And also, it's another thing that's important as well is like line, like some of it has to be blurred, some of it has to be sharp, because if everything's sharp, then it just doesn't look, it looks like cut out stuff, you know.
Yeah, here I've got a great example of that is this Venom cover you did.
Oh yeah.
Which again, you know, you've got the very kind of sharp in the foreground. You've got, again, you know, the highlight on it. You've got Venom's teeth and his eye, and of course the alien here, same thing.
Yeah.
But then in the background, it's kind of blurred, right? And you get that sense of depth.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sort of, you could say it's lazy to not put anything in the background. But sometimes it's a more powerful image to actually not have, to just have mist in the background.
Yeah, but like, you know, I guess what I meant was Venom's tongue is kind of blurring.
Oh yeah, it's going back. Yeah. You know, it's about cutting out. It's about silhouettes of things.
Yeah.
You know, how to create an interesting silhouette, a bit like you were creating a poster. Do you know, like an art poster, or a poster that you can read from a distance as well.
Yeah.
And what I mean read is not like the text, but read what that image is trying to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be able to read a poster from all different distances. From the distance, it's supposed to make you want to go and look at it, you know. To sort of a wee bit closer, you can see some text. Really close, it has all the fine detail. Yeah. So it's like it has depths of information. And that's, again, what a cover should be doing. It should get your attention from way over, you know, at the back of the room. You should look at that and go, oh, what's that? You know, if it's so kind of the same, then it kind of fades into the background and it doesn't have anything that's interesting on it, you know. So it needs something. If there's too much going on sometimes, you know, you're not creating that contrast sort of stuff, unless you're, again, doing Alex Ross stuff, which is very rare to be able to create an awful lot of contrast with so much going on, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but that's another trick as well, or technique, if you want to call it. But it's about detail keeps your attention. Symmetry loses your attention. Because if an image is symmetrical, then you kind of go, I know what's happening on that side. Therefore, half of the image is the same as this half. Therefore, when you switch off sooner. Yeah. And that's another reason. Another reason why that contrapposto sort of thing, you know, like, so you've got, like, you know, one arm bent and one arm straight. Yeah. So you're creating where the two things are not the same, you know. So it's like there's more to look at then. Yeah, absolutely. So, unless you're doing something like, you know, you want to look like the Punisher or somebody or something, that you want to just look like a machine standing, you know, straight on, where arms are totally straight down, and it gives that where you're just trying to fill a page with a person standing. You know, they're trying to look big, and it's just that. Yeah, it's flat and almost has this slightly robotic sort of look to it. But, you know, it's menacing slightly. You know, so it's
it definitely works sort of for someone like Dr. Doom. Something like that.
It, you know, whether you want them to look broody or whether you want them to look giant and menacing. You know. Yeah. So.
One other thing I wanted to mention was, because you've done concept art as well. So are we talking like, I guess, video games, or movies, or what kinds of subject matter is that involved?
I've did stuff for Marvel Studios. Did stuff for those ones. I think that was sort of game stuff, you know, on characters and various things. I've did work for 20th Century Fox, and various different films and stuff. Like the Fear Street, I did some concept work for the Fear Street.
Yeah.
I did some work for, which was not used for the new Hellboy film.
Okay. Yeah.
The stuff that I did, some designs for like the dragon and stuff, and they didn't use it.
Yeah. I mean, that you never know, right? You never know what's going to get used. That's
you just
that's
don't. Yeah, you
film
don't
in general, right?
I've did some stuff for some projects for Netflix that I don't know whether they've been kind of given the green light or what, like, but did some stuff for that. What else? I can't remember. I've did other stuff, but like I just can't remember off the top of the head or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like your work and I guess just based on what I've know about how you work, and I've kind of learned a bit more, and it seems particularly maybe even suited to concept art, especially because your ability to take kind of established characters and really make them your own. That to me, I haven't had any experience with concept art, but that to me, I would assume is an incredibly valuable asset to have. Like, because not to say that everything's been done, but like when you combine the world of comics and film and television, almost everything's been done in some sense, one iteration or another.
I know.
And so but when I look at your work and your ability to take some a character like, say, the Joker, and really kind of make it your own, like I would think that ability to take, because for, say, someone comes to you and be like, okay, we want this creature for this movie, this dragon, can you come up with something new that's never been done before? It's like every dragon's been done.
I know,
but I think like someone like you has I think the ability to, like, say, at least you can take maybe something from here, something from there, and like kind of really, I guess, make it your own. I think that's really got to be key in concept art.
Yeah, it's kind of that. I think the trick is you shouldn't. Well, in my opinion, again, this is just an opinion, so it's not totally right or wrong or whatever. But my opinion is that I try not to go too far away from the original, but add just enough to make it a little bit different. But you have to have what people love that character for, in the first place. So, if you're doing the Joker, you have to have, enough of the Joker there with a couple of little elements of what you have put in there just, to make it yours. If it's too much, sometimes it's a hit or miss whether people are going to like it or not. And an awful lot of the time, if it is an established character, then they don't really want you messing about with it too much. So it's a balancing act, really.
Yeah. So your interpretation of the Joker is one of my all-time favorites. I should say interpretations, because I can see like an evolution to how you've depicted the character over different pieces. And Joker is one of my favorite characters, and I think that you've definitely kind of captured the essence of that character over.
Thank you.
Over, like, I'll just show like one for example. Well, let's see. There's one I've got on the title card here. Let's do that. This is absolutely one of my favorites. Right here. Right. For example, like this.
Oh,
this
yeah.
It's just amazing. And of course, you've got I guess your latest would have been a piece you did for the puzzle box, right?
Oh yeah.
Which was very Joker puzzle box. Let me see. Do you have that? Yeah, here we go. Which is, to me, very feels very very similar like in terms of I know you've got a very similar thing with the eyes going on that I absolutely love.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, see,
Yeah.
I kind of thought to myself, he probably, maybe put, if he's doing makeup on his face, if he is, if that's makeup or whatever on his mouth and stuff, then possibly he's put contact lenses in. But but maybe he's too lazy to take them out, so he's went all bloodshot and stuff around,
I
contact lenses, and it's sort of slightly infected sort of look or whatever. Because anything you do with people's eyes usually makes them look quite creepy or demented or whatever. So, I kind of that was my first. No, was it? Oh, that was my second image, but my first. Or not that one, the one that you showed at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was my first cover for the Joker. And,
okay.
It kind of, so it was kind of, I'd put those contact lenses in for that, It kind of, I didn't know whether they were going to allow me to do stuff like that, to kind of change it around a bit, but you kind of got away with it, which was good.
It's
and the clothing as well, the kind of clothing, kind of slightly pink colors and flashy kind of tones and stuff.
I love again, what I was talking about with you kind of making it your own is like your choice of the palette. It's incredible because I haven't really seen that with the Joker before. But it works so well. And then this, I've got to say, is one of the most I guess Joker covers, if that makes sense, in that so this was your cover for the 80th anniversary.
Oh yes.
Like, because like when you boil it all down, like at the end of the day, Joker is a homicidal maniac. The dude straight up murders people and he has fun doing it. And I thought that you really captured that here. Now we don't know that he killed this poor family, but I assume that he did and has painted them up like Batman and Robin and Batgirl. And I thought that was just a perfect.
Do you see all the stuff in it? But
there's a bunch of stuff going on here, right?
There's a shovel in there. Do you see the shovel?
Yeah, the shovel right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a shovel, and there's a book that says how to dig up or whatever. Your first family.
How to dig up your first body,
something like that. And it's on the wall. It says something Gotham Funeral Home or something, but it may be covered in the text. So
I think there's a virgin version of this.
There was where he's took them all and put his like smiley face on everybody's. Faces. The thing about it is he went into a graveyard and dug all these bodies up for a picture, sort of like a photo sort of thing, and you can see Batman, like the shadow, it looks like of Batman coming in, but it's like there's like the shape of the bat sort of thing with the head, but it's covered with a text that kind of got lost.
Oh, okay, the
idea was he was smiling and looking at Batman and sort of saying, I'm sitting here, I've dug all these bodies up, and
which again, even if he didn't kill him, that's a very, very Joker thing to do. It is just it's so the whole concept behind it, I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite covers of yours because it really like it in the way that because we were talking about the Joker earlier, and everyone, when Heath, like no one thought that anyone could top Heath Ledger, and then Joaquin Phoenix had that incredible performance. It's the same thing with comic books. Like every writer and artist that is kind of is given the kind of the task to approach this character, they've all had different approaches to it, but the character has ultimately stayed the same, and different people have chosen to highlight different things about him. On one end you've got the 60s Batman Caesar Romero Joker who's surfing, you know, and on the other end you've got Joaquin Phoenix shooting someone in the subway tunnel, you know. Very different, but they're all the same character. They really are. And this, I think, really kind of sums that up very nicely. So
I want to try and do different ones as well, you know. Like that kind of the surfer one.
Yeah, you know, I love it. Yeah, because I love that too. That very cartoony clown aspect. He is the clown prince of crime. That's very much a part of him. But then actually, I'll show this as well because this is right behind here. Another one, like that was my favorite for the 80th anniversary covers. This is right up there though. With it was Bill Sienkiewicz's cover, which is complete like the Madman, right? Yeah,
his work is fantastic. It's like it's just, I mean, it's instantly recognizable, and it has so much drama and power.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, like that. I mean, look, that is just. It's a very simple cover, but it's incredibly striking because it's just like. Again, another perfect example of I think this character because like that is just insane, absolutely insane.
Totally,
I love that one too.
There's a lot of good artists out there, you know.
So actually, I was going to ask you who as like because I know you mentioned Simon Bisley was a great help to you early on. What other artists kind of influenced you? I guess kind of while you were learning, and what artists really do you admire or influence you now?
I think Glenn Fabry, you know, his work, you know, we used to go out drinking and stuff when he used to live in Belfast. I've known him for a long time. His work is just incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, my top three, I guess, comic series of all time. Preacher is in my top three, absolutely, and his covers are some of my favorite covers of all time. Yeah,
and there's like, how many people? There's so many people out there. There's like, you know, Adi Granoff stuff. His stuff is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you know, obviously all the Frazetta stuff. You know, Liam Sharp stuff is fantastic. You know, an awful lot of like drama and stuff in there. I mean, there's the other thing is I like a lot of artists that aren't comic artists. Like all.
I was going to ask you that too, you know, right? Who that is not involved in comics at all.
Like, all the the pre-Raphaelite stuff. You know, all that stuff. Because I think. It's kind of, it's like a snapshot in time sort of thing, you know, very well lit, and so much detail and so much life in it, you know. It's a different thing to like Rembrandt stuff. Whenever you look at Rembrandt, like Rembrandt did a painting of himself, he did a few, but when he was an older man, he did a portrait of himself, and it was very like, blurred out. It was very blurry, you know, and then it had a spot in the eye sort of thing. But what I think one of the reasons people blur things out are blurred edges is to show a bit of life and movement. Yeah. You know, the more solid you produce the lines, it doesn't look like movement anymore. It looks extremely static. So how you use those lines, you know, if you see my hand doing that and you took a snapshot, you would see my head is still because it's all the edges are very sharp and that is blurry. So blur represents movement.
Yeah, I mean, and that was kind of like when the like Rembrandt and the Dutch old masters. I mean, that was kind of what they mastered, was that ability to sort of like it's this snapshot that feels so realistic because they kind of figured out that there's movement in that. It's a still photo, but it's they made it move somehow. They breathed life into it.
Because we look at stuff we think all this is so obvious,
Mhm.
but it is the stuff that is so obvious that is hard to figure out, to come to those conclusions that are so obvious and so simple a lot of the time.
Oh, we've lost Ryan again. Let's see who's still in here. Give it a shout out. We got Fable. What is up, station buddy? Lynx, you still in here, man? I think you are. All right. Hope you guys are enjoying the interview so far. I've barely even had to look at my questions. Ryan is awesome. Yes.
I don't know. Awesome. I just keep disappearing. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a squirrel or something outside, like nibbling at my electric cables.
Could
and stuff,
be. Could be. I have. I've had. We grow gardens and we grow gardens. We grow tomatoes. We grow tomatoes in my garden every year, and this is the first year where, for some reason, something is eating all the tomatoes.
Oh, that sounds like a comic.
It could be squirrels.
Something is eating all the tomatoes.
Something is eating the tomatoes. Yeah, it could be squirrels. I fear that it may be rats, but I don't think rats have much time for tomatoes. There's so much garbage out in the streets over there.
If you see really healthy rats, really healthy ones, then that's probably them.
Or the Italian ones.
They're really good. Yes, that's it. Really good, like fur and stuff.
Yeah.
Just check their fur.
Nice silky fur. I'm gonna have to go and pet them to find out.
That's it. Yes. Go into the sewers and stuff, and just go over and like analyze them all and like stroke their faces and stuff.
Yeah.
Say that's the ones there. Look at them. You'll see that all the others are all horrible and grimy. And then there were two like lovely, luscious looking ones, in the corner.
Oh yeah,
stroking them and all.
I was gonna go out there with a flashlight and look for all the
on your shoulders,
rats.
Yeah, on your head. What are the questions? Is there people with questions? You want to answer questions?
Yeah, I was looking at the chat here. I was
it's probably one.
There's a great comment from DJ Lynx. You're an amazing dude, and yes, DJ Lynx hates art, and so that's a huge compliment. But earlier on, I did see a question from, where was it? Let's see here, Carlito. Yes, a little biased, but I'd love to see Ryan do a Deathstroke. Is that a character you are interested in?
Yeah. There's loads of armor. Loads of guns, weapons, and stuff, bit of action. Yeah. If you get a lot of the time when you're doing like variant covers, you get to do what you want to do, well, within sort of reason. So you can kind of, where if you're doing like a main cover, you're there's a bit more input by editors and things,
I was going to ask you about that actually, because you've done quite a few retailer exclusive variants. I know you've done several for Comics Elite.
Yep. Worked a lot for Comics Elite.
Yeah. What I love about that is because
I'll say hello to them. Hello, Comics Elite. Hello.
I don't know if they're affiliated, but I've noticed that because Comics Elite is in the States, I'm here in Canada, but there's an online shop called Comics Kingdom of Canada that typically has the same books Comics Elite does. I don't know if they work with each other or something.
They do, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them that sort of work together sometimes on variants and things.
Yeah, so that is how I have access to your exclusive covers.
Really?
Is through Comic Kingdom Canada, because normally like the shops, like if it's a retailer exclusive, I might, or obviously it's different, right? I'll have to go through them or maybe aftermarket. But if I see your covers, typically it's been on their site.
That's Spencer, isn't it? Spencer.
I'm not sure. Yeah. But anyhow, I was going to ask you, how? Sorry. Are you? Am I frozen?
You just froze. You just froze. Yeah, you were like.
Can anyone see me? You guys see me? Oh, Ryan is
Like
frozen.
if I no, I wasn't frozen. It was pretending to be frozen.
Okay, am I frozen? Dude, you are frozen. You're glitching.
No, I'm not. I was pretending to be frozen again. What you should do is just pretend to be frozen, or no, not. And we will have to decide: are you frozen or not frozen? See?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then people can write in the comments if they think you were frozen. You were
No,
actually frozen there.
was I? I don't think I
No,
was.
you were. You really did freeze.
This sounds like a conversation between two people on mushrooms, where like you're trying to decide whether the other person's feeling okay or not, and you're just like, "No, I feel great."
Oh,
No,
right,
yeah.
I feel great. Yes.
The number of nights I've had like that, where it's just so.
Oh God, mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
Dangerous.
But what was I talking about? Retailer exclusives. So normally, how do those work? Does the say Comics Elite approach you with the thing, or do they just go to Marvel or whoever and say, we want to do this cover, and then the publisher will get in touch with you, or how does that work?
As far as I can say, sometimes the companies you speak to, Marvel or whatever, and to ask for a particular exclusive or whatever, and it sort of works that way. So if, like, say, Comics Elite or whatever, so for the 80th anniversary Joker thing or whatever, they would speak to DC and say, we would like to do a variant or whatever. So, it would then become their exclusive for that particular store. A lot of the time they're limited, to whatever, I don't know, 4,000 or whatever amount of copies or whatever it is. Really depends, I think, sometimes with the companies and things. So, but yeah. That's as far as I know.
Oh yeah. I have another question.
Editors,
yeah,
me,
they have the ultimate say. The editors, the true wielders of power, right? That's
it.
I was talking to
too much power.
I was talking
too
to
much power.
I was talking to this man earlier today about whiskey, actually, and Carlito has asked, "What's your favorite whiskey and/or scotch?"
Oh God, I used to drink whiskey, but it was just dangerous, So I just I don't touch whiskey at all. The only thing
probably for the
I
best.
drink is oh God, yeah. Only thing I drink is beer, but I drink loads of different beers, and I love like my kind of craft beers and things, and stouts and things. Like all the dark sort of beers, like Guinness.
Yeah,
I love
Guinness
all
is my favorite. Yeah.
Northern Ireland. There's like so many stouts and things, like all craft beers, and they're absolutely lovely. But they're usually like 10-15%, which is like really powerful. So you end up. Yeah, you can only drink a couple of them and then you're destroyed. But yeah, I mean, I did go to a convention, and a friend of mine, an editor friend of mine, brought me to this cocktail bar, and I was like, I only drank beer, and I said, well, what beer do they have? And he says, they don't sell beer, it's a cocktail bar. So I had to drink cocktails all night, but I started then getting like a feel for cocktails, and especially espresso martinis, I could almost drink those all night. It's like I love coffee, and I love espresso martinis. They're dangerous, but
that's true. Yeah. Oh, for me, I'm on a big.
And a drink, I don't know, the odd time.
Sorry, you're cutting out again there.
Oh, right. I drink like absinthe sometimes. You've had like, you know, but I haven't drank that in years, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
It's quite serious stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So what were you saying?
I don't. Oh, I was just saying. Yeah, I'm drinking. I like my whiskey. Although I'm big into, you know, vodka soda. You know, because those things just, again, it can get dangerous. But
Right.
yeah, in the summer when it's hot,
God.
some ice.
Yeah, the spirit stuff.
Yeah.
The only spirits I like are in the graveyard, you know, those type of spirits.
Yeah, they're good.
Are in my cupboard. Spirit.
Oh,
they're all coming
man.
out now.
In the anyways, Chris says, when I draw, I make what I'm drawing to familiar objects and transform those familiar objects into what they're supposed to be.
Oh,
okay.
That's complex.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So wait a minute. What is? Hold on. Right. So okay. So what he's drawn into familiar objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And transform those familiar objects into what they're supposed to.
Yeah, I think I'd be curious to hear more about that.
We need to hear more information. Does that mean? Does he mean he like draws, like say he's drawn a head? He draws like a kettle, you know, like a kettle, and then he draws like a saucepan for the body or something, you know?
Yeah,
and then, like,
that's
like
the kind of stuff I'm
for the
arms
as
well. Yeah,
that sort of. It's like if you're drawing an arm, it's a baguette now with like 5 sausages on the end, you know? Is that what it is?
I hope so. Like, you're making me really hungry. I know that.
Yeah. And then you'd have problems with the fingernails, but wouldn't you? Because you're not used to drawing fingernails. So you're only used to drawing sausages. And then it's like, oh, almonds. You could put an almond at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not used to having fingernails in my sausages. Yeah. I'd rather not have fingernails in my sausages.
I try to cut down, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you meant in your sauces.
No, in my sausages or in my sauces. Well, I'll dip a finger in the sauces.
All right, in your sauces, yeah. Like I draw the line with sausages, fingernails in sausages, but in sauces, that's okay, you know.
That is, yeah, absolutely.
Sauces are okay.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it's allowed. It's allowed.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to bring up one thing because one character that's appeared a lot in your work is Judge Dredd. You've done, I think, quite a bit of work on Judge Dredd. And,
what have I got? Judge Dredd stuff here. Oh, I've got a 2008 character.
Oh yeah,
2 pineapples.
That's awesome.
I keep going the wrong direction. That was drawn after Simon Bisley's original version, which was fantastic. I drew that and a couple of other things to try and get a job in 2080. So that was actually there. That was the time whenever I had started 2014. See?
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I was doing the V-War stuff for IDW, and I wanted to work for 2080. So I wanted to do some covers. So I did them like, I think about 4 or 5 sample pieces and stuff. And that was one of the sample pieces I did for them.
Yeah.
So, I did a lot of work for well, I wouldn't say a lot of work. I probably did maybe about 12 or more covers for 2008, but not an awful lot. You know, in comparison to people's years, obvious.
Right.
Worked all their lives in 2000. Well, I love the characters and stuff, but it's the problem again is you kind of there's so many characters you want to work on, so many companies you want to work for. You know, the Marvel and DC stuff, like Marvel alone, like how many characters, like, and so well known, you know, with so much history and stuff, nostalgia behind them. You know what? I want to be a part of that. I want to, you know, draw some of that stuff, you know, because like you want to kind of, but I also a big interest in horror, and I want to do more horror stuff. Before I actually started working for Marvel, because I've only been really working for them for 2 years. Before I was working for Marvel, I was just about to do a horror book of my own. Like it was going to be old, like horror images of horror stories in Ireland, you know. And
sorry, you're cutting out
like
again.
The bug bodies,
I
like the peat bug and all that sort of stuff, you know. Oh,
can you hear me?
Did you hear about? Yeah, I can hear you.
Because you were cutting out. I didn't hear that.
Oh, the whole way along.
Yeah. I don't know what's that. You're glitching out.
A horror book. Am I really still glitching? Should I go out and come back in again or something? I'll do that.
Maybe try that. Try that. See what happens. Because you were good until the last time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's the squirrels again. I need to get the stick and hit those squirrels. Oh, I'll be back in a second. Tell them a story.
All right. Let's see what happens with Ryan's connection here. I know who he's talking about. Yeah, so looking back through the comments, what do we got here? Guys, if you're watching this, stay tuned. Later, I got an announcement video coming up. So, Ryan is back.
Aha!
Hello?
Hello.
I think you seem a bit clearer now.
Am I? I feel fresher. I feel fresher. No?
Yeah.
Am I glitchy?
Yeah. No, so far so good.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of well.
Oh no, it's still happening.
The horror stuff, yeah. I kind of. But if I know, God, if I can add horror with Marvel and DC stuff, then I'm happy.
Nice.
You know.
Yeah.
Wonder why the glitchy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's get rid of this.
Any more questions or what?
I don't know. I think that was all the questions in the chat, and I think I covered most of everything I had here. I was yeah, I did want to let's see. Yeah, no, I mean this has been amazing. We've already gone 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it. Almost 2 hours. I did want to say, because when I first got in touch with you about this, about doing this interview, you were kind of in the middle of moving, which is always fun. I've moved many times. I hope that went well. Are you still in Belfast?
Yeah. It was literally only up about 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes away from my old house. But we eventually got moved. But it's because of the coronavirus stuff, it's took us maybe about 6 months to move.
Oh yeah.
All work. I haven't been able to take on as much cover work this year, which is unfortunate, you know. But it's just the way it is, you know. You kind of have to do some life stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm now kind of like the Death Star. I'm fully functional, you know. So
nice.
I can get back. Yeah. I'm now fully operational and ready to fire the beam out on like all those covers. Zap, you know.
Oh, you're the one you just posted of Deadpool. That is awesome. I'm gonna
Thank you.
that and
Well, that was I did that a
the
while ago. It's
reptilian
again,
one, amazing.
thank
Sorry.
you. Well, there's more stuff that hasn't came out yet. And then some other for like Marvel and some other covers to do with like, I don't know, it's to do with space, and I can't say much about it, but I just don't think it's going to catch on. You know, all this space stuff. You know, they've got like shiny swords and stuff. I just don't think it'll catch on.
Oh,
you know, like
nice. But I just remembered one thing.
Like lighty up swords now.
Oh yeah, awesome. Sorry, I was
being
we're
I'm
talking over you because of the glitching thing. Oh no.
Oh shit.
I wanted to ask you one more thing. Because you're primarily doing comic book covers, but you have done interiors as well. You did the interior on a project called Esther, I believe, which was written by Mark McCann.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And the part one was available on your website. Did part two of that ever came out, or will it ever come out? Yeah.
Mark's a good friend of mine. He's writing a lot of stuff for Heavy Metal magazine at the minute.
He did Never Never, correct?
He's got a thing called Never Never.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's getting a lot of attention, and it's really good, you know. So if anybody wants to pick that up, you know, it's out there. I think it's in comic book stores and stuff at the minute. So I think he's on issue 4. I don't know what issue. But he's doing a lot of stuff. He did stuff for 2000 AD as well. And we were doing that. It was like an idea I had before, because I had did that cover. This was like a Heavy Metal magazine cover. Yeah. And it was for was it the 25th anniversary for Heavy Metal magazine, was it? And they had like an art exhibition in Santa Monica, and it was just before San Diego convention a couple of years ago, maybe a year. So they wanted a piece of original art, and I kind of produced this, and we went over and did a bit of drinking and a bit of chatting to people and stuff, and like what's the image. So I was like, frig, that's, you know, everybody's asking about that image, you know, what's the story behind it. And so I thought, you know, I want to make a story up. So I was thinking of like medieval robot knights and all this sort of stuff, you know. And so we sort of came with an idea, and then just chatted to Mark and said, you know, do you want to do the thing? So he said, yeah, we'll do the story and everything. And we had plans to work with like Simon Bisley and stuff, and things got, again, as usual, you know, you can't start doing your create your own project, and then you're doing work with like Marvel, or you're doing other stuff, and it all kind of interferes, unfortunately. So it kind of got put on the back burner, you know. But at some point I would like to go back to this stuff, you know, because that's kind of the stuff I love. Clunky, you know, robots, you know, and they've got swords. It's just, you know, it's like,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's like it's like you've got a pizza and you've put like a pavlova on the top of it or something, or you've got a pizza and you've just thrown like spaghetti on it, and like some chips or something, or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like, just get all the swans.
Yeah, just get it all on there. Get it all on there.
It's like amputated. Yeah, that's it. You know, so yeah, it was all that sort of stuff, you know. And then like what I try and do is create a story behind like an image or whatever. And like she's unconscious, you know, and she's like connected to all these like machines and everything all around. And you can see her amputated like limbs all over the place that are like all scarred up and stuff. And you know, you've got that woman. Amazing. she's in there, you know, this woman here, she's kind of painted like an expression on her. You know what I mean? Can't really see all the mechanical stuff because it's getting dark here, but you know what I mean? It's
kind
like
of come up with your own story.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Kind of. I like to kind of come up with a story about that actual image itself. You know, something really kind of, you know, something where people can read into that image as well. And do they come up with the same, you know, conclusion? Maybe not. You know, that's sort of the plan, really. So whenever I can, I'll try and add lots of details into a painting, you know, so that people can read around it, like a "Where's Wally" sort of thing, you know.
Yeah. Awesome. And Mark's in Belfast as well, right? You guys
he is,
both,
yeah.
That's you guys are holding it down there. Sorry?
Yeah. He's like he was writing novels and stuff before that, and he then sort of got into, you know, he always wanted to work in comics, and he sort of didn't really know the roots. And then we sort of got chatting, and, you know, I sort of put him in touch with a couple of people in Wallop. You know, he did all the rest, basically. You know, it's there's an awful lot of hard work goes in the background of all this stuff. You know,
for sure, yeah.
You know, and then getting in the door of a lot of these companies is quite hard. You know, it's because there's so many people that want to work in comics. And making it work as well as a career, you know, is quite hard. So
it is. It's
like
very...
you know, your job. You know, this is also, you know, you want to create something that people, you know, really like and that you feel proud of as well. You know, that's kind of the important thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, so I was happy to see, like, I just the other day just read I guess the first issue of Never Never, which was that's really cool. So I really love the concept of that.
How did you find out about it?
How did I find out about it? Oh, so Never Never, I just found out about from someone else on YouTube mentioned the book. That's literally how I found out about it.
Oh, okay.
And then when I looked it up and I saw that it was Mark McCann, which I know had done that book with you before with Esther, and so that was really cool. Yeah. And I don't know. Are there any other comic creators you can think of in Belfast, or is it just you two guys?
In Belfast, well, there's a couple. There's a guy called Paul Holden. He works for 2000 AD. People that live in Belfast. There's Will Simpson, you know, that worked for the Game of Thrones. Did a lot of it.
Okay, yeah.
In 2080 as well, but that's all that live in Belfast as far as I know now. I think as far as I know, that's basically it. There's a lot of creator, like, you know, independent sort of people and stuff. Creator
for sure.
It's as much work as working for any company, really, you know. So but
Belfast is a really cool city.
It's good. Have you been here? No.
Yeah, in 2015, I think 2016.
Oh, you have?
I was in Belfast.
Yeah, brilliant.
It
is good.
Yeah, I liked it. It was like I'd gone to Ireland and the north for a few weeks, and so I'd spent a bit of time in Belfast, and it's a very cool city. It's like it can be rough around the edges in some parts, but I like that.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Depends where you go. Yeah,
love that about it.
Depends where you go.
Yeah.
So are yeah, gonna put that light on. It makes me like them in a piece of cheese. Does it? A bit of cheese.
Yeah, you're in a piece
yellowy.
of cheese. Yeah. I like
A
it.
bit of Edam.
Yeah.
It looked like it was a bit of Edam cheese.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, you want to
I
be
can't
in
even
that
reach
cheese.
the other.
Yeah.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Especially a couple of drinks and some Edam cheese, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Belfast is nice. It really is, and there's like you're close to forests, you're close to mountains, you know, the weather rains a lot, but
yeah,
you know, if you got an umbrella, you're okay. If you
it's
got some drinks,
definitely-
it doesn't, you know.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. Northern Ireland is one of my absolute favorite places. I haven't traveled you know, all over the world, but Ireland and Northern Ireland is like, I give it like it's one of my favorite places I've ever
Oh,
been,
really?
without a
Wow.
doubt. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it is. It is a lovely place. Oh, we
Mhm.
just got a drink. Light. Did you turn the wee light on? Just asking the wife to turn the light on. Oh, she's got to. Wait a minute. I'll turn it on with my magic finger. Hold on. There. Sort of in the cheese again.
Oh yeah.
It's, I don't know why, but it sort of looks yellowy, doesn't it? In comparison to yours, which is a nice kind of bluish light. I'm a bit a cheese light.
I can change the light. I can make it warm or cold.
Could you make it a bit cheese like mine?
Hold on.
No, that's kind of
That's
sort of
A
cheesy.
bit more. Yeah,
But I'm very.
That was the
cheese like
warmest
that.
one, I think.
I'm gonna try this
Yeah.
one along with those and see what happens. Oh, flip! That's dramatic. So you can sort of you can see a lot of my paintbrushes there. Let's see.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Illuminated. Like all my. What I do is I've got all the paints there and stuff, and I use all these like slow drying mediums and stuff. You know, it makes it all easy to kind of glaze the mediums and everything.
Yeah.
That's one thing that people should really use whenever they're using acrylic paint. The other thing I use as well is this type of stuff, which is like a slow or like a stay wet thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like a, what do you call it? A palette, stay wet palette thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can literally keep stuff in there for like a week and it will not dry.
Really? How does that work? Is it just because it's airtight, or?
Yeah, it's airtight. Yeah. So see, it's got this top on it. So like you stick the top on, and you've got like paper on the top, and then you've got like a pad, like a foam pad on the thing, so it absorbs all the water, and the paint sits on top of the paper. And I would say that's been there for about a week. That one, I've got two that I rotate, you know. But that has been there for a week and it's still wet. See, all wet. See?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can use these things. This really changes. Like, well, this really changed it for me because I was mixing. If I'm trying to blend stuff, I'm trying to mix the colors, and I want specific colors mixed. That then I can kind of blend into another color. And if I've you know, I haven't mixed it, then I try and mix it again. It's just not the same. So this is a quicker method of doing all that sort of stuff, you know. And the other thing I do is I've got like little heads that give me like light sources and things, see. So you can light all that up, and you don't need to copy it. It just gives you an idea of like, you know, where the light is hitting all the spots and stuff. And you know, you get a torch and just shine it on it, and you know, and that's one way of doing that. But yeah, simple stuff, you know.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think this might be a good place to wrap it up. I've got to I gotta eat something. I'm starving.
Yeah. Sounds good. A bit of cheese.
So hungry. And then you're talking about sausages and cheese, and it's like, oh my god.
That's right. Yeah, sausages with the nails in them and stuff and everything. But Depends.
yeah.
Depends what you want to eat. And the cheese, the subliminal cheese background and stuff that I've got here. It's
Yeah,
looking
there's
less
that.
cheese
Yeah.
like, isn't it? I don't know what's happened. It's
It
losing
was
its
it flashed on for a bit before, and it was like really cheese like.
wasn't it? It's now
Yeah,
it's
it
kind of
was.
not now. It's kind of what it's lettuce like now or something.
Yeah.
Lettucey.
Yeah.
Light kind of off lettuce or something. Or maybe like a brie cheese or something that's went to now. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Brie.
it's more brie. It's more
Isn't it?
brie now.
It's brie, yeah.
Than
I think
Edam,
you're
for sure.
I'm taking a bit of your color, which
Yeah.
is sort of bluish. It's coming in.
Blending it in.
It's seeping into my kind of my color. Giving brie look. Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. So there you go. That's like a lot of knowledge about like art and
yeah,
stuff.
dude, thank you so much. Like
no
that's even for me personally, because
fun.
like I do, it's weird because I've like for me I go through these like kind of waves where like I feel like drawing a lot, and then other times I just don't feel creative whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I've gone through periods like that where I haven't drawn at all for like years even.
Oh,
and
right.
now but ever since I kind of got back into comic books, like collecting comic books, and then discovering this whole comic book community like through social media like Instagram and YouTube, I've also met so many other people who are creating and drawing and doing their own things, whether it's sketch covers or prints, and that's really kind of inspired me and motivated me to like get back into it. And then talking to you as well as like this has been I've learned a lot. It's
that's good.
Kind of, especially getting into the digital painting thing, like I've kind of has definitely shed some light on things to
you just keep going. That's all
ponder
it's about,
over, right?
You know. And the other thing is that everybody has the points where they kind of go, this is, I'm really struggling with this. You know what? That's one of the reasons I used to go to comic conventions. It's because I used to speak to other artists, and the artists I would ask them questions, and they would answer them the way I was thinking in my head. It was like, well, I struggle with this and I struggle with that, and I don't like my own artwork, and I go through periods where I struggle to create stuff, and think everything's the same that you create. And I thought it was just me that was thinking that way, So it's important to speak to other artists, because you'll find out that you're not thinking that way alone. This is a common thing that other artists think, That's very important, because it makes you feel a bit less crazy, Because art is like, I mean, to create art, you have. It's always, I think, people that are focused on detail, focused on whatever, and analyze things too much, because when you're analyzing, that's how you get better. So if you don't analyze stuff, you do not get any better usually, but. So if you're analyzing and you're not happy with stuff, then that's usually a person that's not happy with everything, So it's those kind of negative kind of, in the head little conversations sort of thing. So if you know that other people are thinking the same way, then it means that you don't, it's not just you sort of thing. So, which is good. But knowing also that, like, I've spoke to other, like, professional artists in comics, and they've said, oh, I'm struggling at the minute, or I'm able to create stuff for weeks or whatever. And the thing about it is, when you've got deadlines, you have to create. No matter what you do, you have to create. So it's like one of those things that pulls you out of a dry spot, or a spot where a negative kind of time where you think that I can't produce stuff or I can't create art. So you learn little techniques, and one of the little techniques is just starting. That's it. If you just start, then you will get past that negative thing. In a lot of cases, you just start and just get going, and that's you. The hardest thing is starting.
Yeah.
But also, every day, every piece of art should be progress and evolve, and you may not see the progress, but you just keep working on it.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for doing this. I'd love to have you back on at some time. There's like, I know there's other things I'd had in mind that I didn't get to, I think, but it doesn't matter because you like to talk, and I love it, man. It's great. I would love to have you back on to talk some more, because there's definitely other things I'd love to touch on. I especially love how we've gone over kind of like your whole process, and just your thoughts on art in general have been fantastic. And
no problem at all.
Yeah,
hopefully it helps in some way. We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Oh, we have to. Oh, we also did not get to there was a giveaway post where you had asked people how many donuts you could eat in one sitting.
Oh, yes.
And I don't remember what did it end up
3
being?
I think it was
3. So that's
because but it depends on the type of donut, you know what I mean? It depends
I guess.
And these are like, I don't mean like these are all filled donuts, they're not like the hollow sort of things, they're the filled ones with jam. Yeah. So it's like when you're like eating it, it's like big. It's like the size of your fist.
So does that count as 2? That could count as 2 regular donuts, I guess.
Yeah. So then if
probably
it's 2, 6. Then 6 then. Yeah. If it's
I could do 6.
If there's those ones with the holes, then millions of them. Just keep piling them in.
Yeah.
But I need to get back to my competitions, because I just haven't had time, because I've been moving and all types of stuff. I usually have competitions where I go into the forest and stuff, and or I've got like oranges up my jumper and things, and
you got to do a competition and go into the forest, see how many of these mushrooms can I eat before one of them poisons me.
Oh God, yeah.
No, don't do that.
I know. Yeah, try not to. Our weird frogs, licking frogs and things. Try not to do that.
I've got. Anyways, if you need the more ideas for those, I'm sure I've got a few on the back burner.
I don't really want to lick toads and stuff. It's kind of.
I can hook you up, man.
You're gonna send them in the post, are you? Send like toads over and all.
Yeah, hold the whole toad.
Oh God.
Okay.
Rough.
But speaking of giveaways, so I am going to be doing shortly after this video, I'm going to be doing my 250 subscriber giveaway video. And I just had something generously donated by somebody else in the communities, Comic Ozzy and Sith Lordly. One thing I'll be giving away is a CGC graded 9.8 copy of Joker #1 with art by Mr. Ryan Brown. Here. So this is one of the things I'll be giving away.
Excellent.
Which I'm going to be doing my announcement tonight. Yes. Excellent. So very cool. I'm so tempted to keep this for myself, but they donated it for my giveaway. So that's awesome. Another just stunning Joker cover, man. I love it.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I love the Joker stuff. Need to do more in the future, but I have to go and do some other characters, before I do some more Joker stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like I still got itches to scratch, And do Dr. Doom stuff. And
Dr. Doom. I would love to see that. Especially like you're saying with the different textures, because the metal and the
I did the wraparound cover, the Dr. Doom wraparound cover, if you can hook that one out. I did that.
Is that the one where his face is
it's all warped and stuff?
Is all warped? Yeah, hold on. I think that's right here. Yeah.
I like doing that one.
That one is one of my favorites. Not loading for some reason.
Oh, people can imagine it, sure.
No, they can't. They really can't.
It's just Doctor
You can
Doom's
see, you can
heads
imagine
and
this. There's no
all
way.
warped and stuff.
Yeah, this one. Oh, dude, yeah, this is
Oh, there
one
you
of
go.
my
Yeah,
favorites. Yeah, absolutely love that. Where did you even think of?
See, it was the Hulk ones, wasn't it? It was like,
Yeah,
wasn't it the Immortal Hulk? Was it the Immortal Hulk
oh,
stuff?
Mortal Hulk. I
It
think it
was
might
like,
have been. Yeah,
then they
something like-
had like all these like variants that were all like morphin kind of things, you know.
yeah,
So they wanted me to do like a Doctor Doom version of that, you know. So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
normal, and then he's transforming, sort of.
It's
you know.
it's yeah, that's an amazing cover.
Thank you, Doctor Doom.
What was that for? Fantastic Four. What was
God,
that?
I
Yeah.
can't remember. I can't remember.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
many covers.
Yeah. But yeah, Ryan, thank you so much.
No problem.
Wow, I can't believe
No.
we've already. It's been a little over 2 hours. That's amazing. It does not feel like it. It's just flown by. That's why we got to do this again, because I.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I want to do the reading, the comic silent thing. We should.
Oh,
do
silent reading time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you the link for that.
Right. We should do that.
I'll show you that. Yeah,
That'd be
we'll just
brilliant.
the next episode it will just be us sitting and reading.
I would love to do that. Yeah, I maybe do that live on my Facebook or something at some point.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm down for that. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay.
Anyways, guys, anyone still here and anyone who's watched, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And if you're watching now, stay on the lookout for later tonight, my 250 subscriber giveaway announcement. And yeah, I think that's about it. Ryan, again, thank you so much for doing this. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Fun. Yep. You too.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna wave myself out.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys later.